Do you want more success, more growth, more results? Then it's time for the Boundless Success Accelerator from the Modern Observer Group. This isn't your average coaching program. It's where top performers come to dominate. Weekly group sessions, on-demand coaching, a community that's got your back, and a power-packed library of tools to supercharge your business and career. No more excuses, no more waiting. Get in, level up, and start building the life you've been dreaming about. Visit us at modernobserver.com/boundlesssuccess to join today. Let's get you to the next level. Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase, the podcast that helps you succeed in your business, life, and career. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. My usual co-host, Chip Januszewski's on vacation this week, but with me is Jessica Oleander, who is the Executive Director of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber of Commerce. Jessica, welcome.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me.
It's great having you here. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you stated, my name is Jessica Oleander, and I serve as the president of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber of Commerce. We are headquartered in Glastonbury, Connecticut, but we are a regional chamber. We have 3 other pillar towns that we represent membership and businesses in: East Hartford, Marlborough, and new to our chamber is Hebron, which is great. And we have about 550 members that join us from all throughout the state.
Fantastic. And, we talk a lot about business on this podcast, but there's a lot of folks that don't know what a Chamber of Commerce actually does. So why don't you tell us what, the mission of Connecticut River Valley Chamber is, and in general, what chambers do for their members?
Sure. So a Chamber of Commerce is typically and most often formed as a not-for-profit organization. So that's a dues-paying membership organization. And we, at the Connecticut River Valley Chamber of Commerce, we educate, advocate, and connect. Those are kind of our 3 buckets. We're here to help the businesses succeed, and that means a business from a small one-person entrepreneur all the way up to a large corporation. So there's something for everybody in a Chamber of Commerce. Again, our 3 buckets are educate, advocate, and connect, and we perform those three things by providing networking opportunities, special events, social events, advocacy efforts, and really educating our members on what can be most beneficial for their business, whether it's a tax incentive or a grant that they could apply for. So a Chamber of Commerce really does it all for businesses. In addition to that, we have many, many strategic partners, both at the state level, the federal level, who will step in and help us and fill, any gap that we might have. I always say, if I don't have the answer, I will find it for you somewhere, some way. And then third, we're always looking to represent and take care of the communities that we work and serve in. So we're very, very close with the town leadership, the state legislature, and we're always looking to see what community events we can provide to the residents that live in our towns that we serve.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the advocacy part of what you were just mentioning. What does that look like? Does a chamber actually lobby the legislature, the local officials? What is your position in that?
Sure. So initially, this chamber a few years ago when I got here really did not do a lot in advocacy. It wasn't a focus for this organization. My background is in government relations and association management. So I was kind of drawn towards the advocacy part of it and wanting to get our members involved, because what happens at the state legislature and what happens at your local town hall affects your business. These folks are elected, they're put in charge, and are making decisions that they might not have the answers to or might hurt your business in a really negative way. In the past year or so, we've seen a lot of regulation come through the state legislature, so we're talking about increased burdens on our small, especially on our small businesses. I think they get hurt the most. So it's really been an effort of mine to increase our footprint at the state capitol. And then also, I personally try to attend every town council meeting um, and really keep in touch with our local folks as well.
Nice. So you mentioned that you have a background in governmental affairs. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into that?
Landed in it really. I got out of college and didn't know what I wanted to do, like, most kids. I applied for a membership director position for a local trade association that was with builders and contractors, and worked my way up from there to VP, served as their president, and really got into lobbying for quite some time with that organization. And then I moved to another group that had a larger portfolio of associations. So I managed 5 nonprofit trade associations. 3 were in housing, 2 were in small business. And that was really where I cut my teeth at the Connecticut State Legislature, just advocating on behalf of our landlords, our property owners, and our small businesses. So it was a natural fit for me to come here to this chamber. I'll be here 4 years in May of 2025. So it was a natural fit to kind of get back into that role, and just to remind people, this is your money, this is your business. They work for you, so you need to come and meet your legislators. You have to, show them your face and let them know who you are. And it's okay. A lot of small businesses don't want to have a target on their back, so to speak. So that's really how I feel the chamber works. I'm their mouthpiece. you know, I've got a big mouth, so I'm not afraid to use it, especially on behalf of our businesses.
So, with your experience, where do you see the most gaps? What do most legislators not know about business, and what do most businesses not know about their legislators?
Yeah, I think the legislators don't realize how important it is to talk to the businesses, um, and create a relationship with them. We've made a really big effort the past few years to say, if you don't know how this paid sick leave bill is going to affect businesses, then call us, ask us. We'll put somebody in front of you. So it's really been, I think, important for the businesses to not be afraid to say, you know what, I am going to go up. Maybe I don't want to testify, but maybe I can put in writing how this will impact me. And it was such, it really just was so amazing this past year to have. I finally feel like we got some traction in that field. And it was so nice to hear from people who said, we didn't think we could write an email and that it would get anywhere. This state senator wrote us back and said, thanks. I didn't realize that if, this was put into place, it would cost you thousands of dollars. So it was really nice to see the interaction. And I think just again, continuing to educate the legislators to say, we're here, we're your resource. If you don't know the answer to it, come to the chamber. We'll help you get the answer and teach you the ways of business. And they're part-time legislators. They're running their own gigs too. Not a lot of them are business owners. They're doing other things. So it's important to have that continued dialogue.
It certainly is. And there have been so many times where legislators will make proposals with no idea of how it's actually going to affect small businesses.
Yeah,
Uh,
for
con-
sure.
Conversely, small businesses deal with a lot of issues that the legislature has no idea about, that they could be helping, but they don't even know these issues exist.
For sure. And I think that's one of the things we're going to focus on for this chamber in 2025. We're going to be rolling out a member survey because, again, I think I know the answer, what our members need, but it will be nice to get some member surveys back and to see, you know what, I don't, this doesn't affect me, or, yes, this would hurt me a lot, especially when it comes to, I think, workforce development. There's so many organizations out there that are offering paid interns, which some of our businesses had no idea. There's so many resources out there. So that's going to be a focus. So our member surveys, getting some feedback of what people want to see, connecting our businesses with the resources that are already out there. I'm a huge proponent of not reinventing the wheel. If somebody's already doing it and doing it well, then have at it. Then let's do it together, or find a way, to kind of coexist so that we can help the businesses, because that's really what we're all about. So yeah, it's been good, and it's really fun to chat about. We have our legislative outlook coming up December 17th, to get people excited. Last year, I think we probably had about 50, which was a really good turnout. We're probably looking at the same number of folks coming up for next week. And the legislators have been really good about attending and getting to know our members, which has been really nice.
Fantastic. Now, you also mentioned education, and you just talked briefly about connecting businesses with resources that they don't know, are out there. That is so important, especially for new businesses, realizing that they don't have to do everything themselves. There is a resource. And the chamber has been very active in that. You and I actually, for a while, were sitting on education days. I don't even remember what we called it, that we did
Oh, the small business support hours. Yeah.
yes, that we
Yeah.
did in conjunction with the local libraries, where people could just come by and ask questions.
Yep. And that's been great. And we kind of morphed that program into working with the Small Business Administration, SBA. So now we run those quarterly in each town that we serve. So we did one in July in Marlboro. We had over 100 people at that event. Some people came as far from New York, drove 2 hours in the morning to come to Marlboro, Connecticut, to figure out
Wow.
what were the best resources. And we had 16 tabletops there. So it was, the Connecticut Department of Revenue Services, procurement from the state of Connecticut, the Small Business Development Center, SCORE. SCORE is huge. People don't even
Yes.
realize they will write a business. I mean, I believe you're a mentor, right? For SCORE, you've done quite a bit of work with them, and people don't even realize they could get a whole business plan or a marketing engagement letter or whatever the case may be through this organization, which is phenomenal. So it's getting the word out there. And I always say to people, you get out of it what you put into it. I can lead you as far as I can lead you, but then, yeah, you need to have some skin in the game too. I mean, Women's Business Development Council is another fantastic partner for us. They offer these $10,000 Ignite grants, $10,000, no strings attached, to a small business. It's incredible what's out there.
That's it. And the easiest way to learn about all of these programs is through your local chamber. And
Mm-hmm.
there are so many folks that don't even know that if their town has a chamber, never mind what the chamber does. And by the way, for our listeners who are not familiar with SCORE, this is actually a program run by the federal government. It is all over the country, and it gives you training how to write a business plan, how to go for a loan. I personally did marketing workshops for SCORE, teaching people how to use social media to market their business. I've actually done trainings for SCORE counselors. But the folks that are doing this are, used to be retired executives. And SCORE actually had a problem a number of years ago where the technology was moving so quickly that retired executives weren't up to speed on the latest things. So now, when you go to SCORE, most of those counselors are still active business people. So you don't have to worry that somebody is out of touch. There's always
Yeah.
a resource there to help you grow your business.
Yeah, and again, it's a great program. So they've been a really great strategic partner for us. I know there's so many acronyms. There's so many
Yes.
acronyms for so many. I'm trying to think of them all. But yeah, and all of that is listed on our website, crvchamber.org. And then in addition, we've been bringing educational components, as you know, because you
Mhm.
presented to our group at Open
Mhm.
Networking last 2 weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving, on setting goals for 2025. That was perfect. 15 minutes, quick hit, and then people can follow up with our speakers. So that's been a great educational component that we've added to our offerings here at our chamber.
Yes, and there have been a number of those educational offerings. I've heard from a lot of chamber members who just love these conversations. So it really is important. And again, you're not just working with those four communities that you mentioned earlier, because you do have members from all over the state, but you also partner with other chambers. East of the River Chambers is one organization. You work with other local chambers. So it's not just about that tiny geography.
No, it's been great to get to know my colleagues. So east of the river, that's Manchester, South Windsor, and Tolland County. So we're always kind of riffing off of each other, seeing how we can help, putting the legislative outlook together. We did a huge networking event, I think probably 2 years ago now, over at Sunny's Place, which is like a little amusement park, which we had a blast at. So we're always trying to reinvent ourselves and really work together because a lot of our members cross over, right? A
Yeah.
bank is a bank is a bank. So we're always trying to make sure we're not pulling from the same pot all the time. So it is easier for, I believe, for a lot of us to work together. And then in addition, we have CASE, which is the Connecticut Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. I'll be getting into a leadership role with them coming up shortly. And then NICE, which is our New England Association. So they have a conference that I just attended that had, world class speakers and people coming from all over the region to talk about AI, time management. What are your pain points? What are your great ideas? Do you think a chili cook-off would go well in Connecticut? Probably not, but maybe a chowder cook-off or something like that. So it's always, conversation starters and really get the juices flowing, which is what I love about our collaborative efforts.
Yeah, and that is so important because you're collaborating across states, across regions, and it brings in different perspectives. Because when you're a small business person, you're very focused on your customer base. And the one thing I have found over and over again is that most business owners think whatever challenge they're facing, oh, nobody's ever faced this before. I have to figure
Yeah.
this out all by myself. And that's simply not true. There are experts all over that can provide resources and help you grow your business.
Absolutely. And I love, love, love the collaboration because you're not in it alone. And that's what I want people to feel, that they're not alone and I can be your voice as the head of this organization and, help the businesses. It's scary out there. We've seen inflation the past few years, which I think a lot of businesses kind of held off raising their prices. We're starting to see those creep up now. I mean, the chamber, we run tons of events. We're looking at food costs. We're looking at, somebody said, oh, there's going to be potentially tariffs on paper goods from Canada. How is that going to impact our budget? So everybody's kind of dealing with all these problems. And overall, the chamber is a business. So it's good to talk to our members that are businesses and see what the pain points are.
Now, on a more personal note, you've had an interesting 4 years to say the least. You came into chamber leadership in the middle of COVID. So,
Yeah.
what was that like for you?
Yeah, we were just getting out of COVID. There were no events scheduled. I had an amazing board that was serving at the time. And I looked around at the landscape and I said, I think people are ready to get back to life and let's do it. And they said, do it. So we did it. And it's been nonstop since then, which has been great. But I think that has been vital. And I think the support of the board, and knowing what they did to get this chamber through COVID to survive was miraculous. So I came in right as COVID was kind of ending, and it was a good flow, and it was a good start to an even better time. And it's funny because I'd never attended the Glastonbury Apple Harvest and Music Festival. I will admit it, did not, I was never attended. I live in Hebron. We have the Hebron Harvest Fair. That was my go-to. And so everybody said, well, how are you going to run the Apple Fest if you've never even attended? You don't even know what it's like. And I said, I got this. An event is an event is an event. And we ran with it in 2019. We made some changes to that, but we've maintained, I'm proud to say, our number one festival in the state of Connecticut all 4 years that we've been here. And it's just grown. And for the board to see and to trust me to keep running with it was phenomenal. And I have to say, my predecessor, Mary Ellen Dombrowski, and her crew here, they left a well-oiled machine. I mean, there was a binder that was, on this day, you do this. Don't forget about this. So I had a good footprint.
Yeah, and you bring up the Apple Festival, and that's also very important because that's not so much a business event, it's a community event. And that's another part of what the chamber does. And it's so important for business people to be active in their local communities, not just for marketing, but as a resource to the community, and it pays off benefits.
For sure. And we've really, really tailored not just the Apple Fest, but pretty much like all of our overall sponsorship package. We did a deep dive this year because we wanted to make sure that everybody at some level could participate, whether it's volunteering for a couple of hours and having, your crew at the registration booth, or taking out a chamber tisement. We wanted the smallest business to be able to participate and the largest, right? So you've got your Pratt and Whitney, thankful for them, a huge sponsor of ours. Some of our larger banks, Webster Bank, MBT, Total Mortgage, always, they're able to contribute at that level, which we're grateful for. But to give back to the community, we like having as many people as possible involved, and we wanted to give people that opportunity to do that.
So, over your time at the chamber, what have you found is the biggest misconception that new members have?
Let's see. I don't know if it's a misconception. I think a misconception is that we're associated with the town. That's probably the biggest. Everybody is like, oh, you run the town parade, you run the town this. Nope, we are not affiliated with the town. We are a standalone organization. That's probably the biggest misconception. And I think just we run our new member orientation and member refreshes 4 times a year. So I think hearing from those folks, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I can add an event to the calendar. I didn't know I could give you my press releases to get out there. So I think it's just a continual educational process, but that would probably be the biggest misconception. We're not the town.
Yeah, and that is important for businesses to know. I think that's a common misconception, not just here in Connecticut, but all over the country. The Chamber of Commerce, wherever your locality is an independent entity. And
Yep.
they don't get government funds. They, rely on their memberships and fundraising events to keep going. And they are there for the businesses, but they're not run by the town
Yeah.
or a
Yep.
city.
Yep, that's definitely the biggest misconception. And we do have great partnerships with the town. We're able to go, and we were able to talk to East Hartford Town Council back when COVID was um, just in full force. And we said to our businesses, what are we doing? What can we do for you? And um, you know, we wound up going to the town council, and the town council took some of their ARPA dollars in East Hartford, 4.5 million, and gave that to the businesses. We worked with them to set up a vetting program, an application process. We got, new signage for some of the businesses. We got, equipment for them so that when we did get out of COVID, they were still there, which was the most important thing, right? So there's a lot, but again, yeah, we work very closely with our towns, but we are not affiliated. That my paycheck does not come from the town. It is, we are reliant on our beautiful membership and dues and our events, and it's great to be a chamber president.
All right, so we're heading into 2025. What do you have coming forward for the chamber? And what's the one thing you would love to be able to accomplish in the new year?
Oh gosh, I think the member surveys are probably going to be a big one for us. That will be our um, guiding light to what we should be working on. Again, I think I have all the answers sometimes, so it'll be nice to hear from the members and say, no, we want you to focus on this. Obviously, it's our big event is Apple Fest, and it's our 50th annual this year coming up in 2025. We just opened our Business Person of the Year nominations. So our annual meeting will be coming up in January. And then just our monthly networking. I love the consistency of what we do as well, because I think that's important for businesses too. So making sure to keep everything consistent and well communicated will be a focus for 2025.
Excellent. If you could do anything with it going forward, sky's the limit. What would you want to do?
I would love a drone show, which we're actually looking at potentially for the 50th anniversary. That would be a big one for sure. That would be pretty cool.
Yes, it would. All right, so we are coming up on the end of our time here. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. If our listeners want to get more information about the Connecticut River Valley Chamber, how can they do so?
And they can find us on all socials at CRV Chamber, and our website, crvchamber.org. Thank you for having me, Eric. It's always fun to talk to you.
Yes, it was great having you. Of course, you've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.